Hi guys, it's me, Andrea. I will do some embossing here. That's why I use my embossing body and make everything anti-static on this page. It's watercolor paper, so very, very heavy one. What I do is I am using my embossing folders, the 3D embossing folders from Crafter's Companion, and I emboss some craft rubber, no, what do you call it? You know, this it's craft rubber, isn't it? Yeah, you know that stuff. And I get it very cheap. I have a huge pack from a Euro store, and that's quite perfect. I'm not unhappy to use it in that way. So I put it into the folder and then run in through the machine, and that is really embossed perfectly on that. And you can stamp with it. Absolutely fantastic. I really like this pattern on it, the swirls and everything, and I try to get that on the paper without embossing the paper, and that is perfect here with the stamp. What I use is my Versamark here, and I cover that piece of craft rubber, thoroughly, really cover it well, and I put it straight into the middle here. Put it on carefully, and I press it down very, very carefully that it's not slipping. Okay. And what I want to do is a resist technique. That's why I use, sorry, the transparent embossing powder here. And yeah, you can see already the pattern. And then dab everything off. And of course, the leftover bit goes straight back into the jar. Don't waste something. So and then I heat it, but I heat set it. You can hardly see that on the white background. Nope. I tried to show that process, but you know how to heat emboss. If you don't know it, you can see it a bit. There are so many tutorials out there where you can learn it. So this circles here, it's from a leftover. It's a leftover from a project I've used, and I thought they might be quite nice on this project I'm making, and that's heavy watercolor paper as well, and I embossed that through the same stencil, so same pattern, fits well, and it's already colorized with purple. It's made with the aqua marker from Crafter's Companion. So I put some holes in there, and there are some, of course I cutted them again, so the edges are very wide. And what I do here, I put some water around the edges, wait a bit until that's soaked in properly, and then I use the aqua marker here again in purple, go around the edges, and then I push it a bit more in with a wet brush so that it really soaks into the paper, makes a nice effect. You can see here that it gets soaked in. The water is really dragging it inside. I really like this effect, and of course it gives you so much more depth when you have that on the edges. What I do here, I put or spray some water on the page. It starts to buckle, of course, that's what water paper does, but I glue some non-permanent tape here and stick it to that background or to this paper on the back. Okay, and now I start with ink, acrylic ink, and that's a magenta one, quinacridone magenta, I think it is, and spray water, even more water, and I let it run. I want to get this pattern out, of course, that the ink runs into the areas where there is no embossing powder. That's what you call a resist technique. Everywhere where the heat-setted embossing powder is on, the color won't, of course, show up, but in between. So, and that's what you get. It's always a nice effect. I really like it. I dab the leftovers here, or what's still wet, on my little stamped image. I'll dab it off. And now I use these circles here as an element, as a decorative element. Sorry, I'm having a bit trouble speaking. And I damaged one. Or I wanted to exactly. I put two holes in, and that was the problem. It looked awful. I thought it might look nice, but it didn't. So I had this little thing inside still there. Put some glue tape behind and put it back. So why not? I use here my Stabilo in graphite. Stabilo all it is, to put a bit more dimension, to accentuate the pattern. I start very light. That's what I always do. You can go darker when you don't like it, but it's always difficult to go lighter. In this case with the Stabilo, it's a water-soluble medium. It is okay. It would work. You could dab it off, but with all the others, it's something it's a habit. I always start light and go back and go darker and darker if necessary. I think it's not a bad habit to have. So you can see here I put even more on, and that gives a really nice 3D effect. It looks, yeah, you get more depth into it, and it is, of course, generating far more interest to look at it, and then, yeah, even want to touch it. Okay, I glue down my little circles here, and of course I decided to match the holes on top of each other. I think that's quite nice. And I won't do a lot more to it. A bit of shading, of course. Go over with a darker pencil around the circles. You will see me doing soon. Okay. And I'm still using my Stabilo in graphite. And activate it with my water tint brush here. And that's always the good thing, that you have to, or you can always remove it, or remove most of it. You can't remove it completely on watercolor paper, of course, but when you want to go lighter, you can dab a bit more off, put a bit more water, and then dab it off with a cloth or with a kitchen towel here. Okay, going on with my shading. But yeah, that's a repeating process. But what I do now here is I will enhance or accentuate, of course, the 3D pattern on my little circles. And for that I use silver gilding wax. And that always brings out this pattern so nicely. I like that so much. It's absolutely beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. So what I do now is, I was missing a bit a stronger contrast, so I'm using a black marker here and write from left to right, sentence. They are real sentence. You can't read it because I'm the only one who can read it. I scribble it down. I think it always looks much nicer than writing real words. And I'm not into this encouraging words, there's, oh, you're stronger than you think, and it's not my thing. So that's why I write down my own thoughts and make them unreadable, because they're not for everyone. Okay, going around the circles again here with my ink marker, and the big one as well, but that's it then. You will see a close-up coming now. I hope you like my little project, and if so, please leave some thumbs up and even a comment if you like to. I really appreciate that. Here you can see the gilding wax on this pattern always looks so nice. And yeah, I thank you a lot for watching, guys, and I hope I will see you soon with my next project. So stay tuned for that and have a fantastic time, guys. Bye bye.